Why are you ignoring me? I've decided not to talk to people I don't know. I get it. I'll move out of my in-laws' place. They're totally ignoring me. I expected it from my mother-in-law, but I never thought my father-in-law would treat me this way. There's a reason why my in-laws, who used to be nice, changed. It's because of my sister-in-law who doesn't like me. Ever since she came back home, our peaceful life together has been completely messed up. Don't expect me to regret it, okay? You think I'm gonna feel sorry about this? Think again, jerk. I packed my stuff and left my in-laws' house. And guess what? Just 3 days after I left, their house turned into chaos. I met my husband at work. He worked in sales and came to my office often, and I was the main person he dealt with. As we spent more time together in meetings and chats, I started to like him. He was caring and kind, tall and not necessarily conventionally handsome, but he had this charm about him. He was popular, but for some reason, he said he liked me, and we started going out. We talked about our families, and he told me about his parents and sister. I lost my parents in an accident when I was young and grew up in an orphanage. It was a big deal for me, but when we started dating, I told him about my past. He said, "That sounds tough, but I'll always be there for you." And then he asked me to marry him. Right from the start, my husband wanted us to get married, so he quickly introduced me to his parents. During the meeting, I shared about my time growing up in an orphanage. They listened carefully and assured me that it wouldn't affect our marriage. It made me really happy. They even said that my background had no bearing on being part of their family, which warmed my heart. Only my sister-in-law, who was very close to her brother, seemed surprised, asking, "You grew up in an orphanage?" My husband had to talk to her about it. Looking back, she probably didn't like me from the start. But I didn't dwell on it then. I just thought we were getting to know each other. Before we got married, my husband and I talked about moving in with his parents. We thought about it seriously, but in the end, I decided not to leave my job. It turned out my husband was going to be transferred soon anyway. I thought about quitting to go with him, but my career was going strong, and I had just been given more responsibilities. After discussing it, we decided he would move alone. After tying the knot, I wanted to enjoy that newlywed bliss for a while. I even casually thought about visiting my husband during long weekends for a little getaway. The idea of moving in with my in-laws right after marriage seemed a bit daunting, but my husband probably felt more comfortable living with them. Plus, he likely wanted to reassure his always worried mother by having us all under one roof. Since I lost my parents early on, I'd always longed for a family, so living with them didn't sound too bad. Besides, my in-laws had always treated me kindly, and I'd grown fond of them. Juggling work and my responsibilities as a daughter-in-law was tough, but having a family made me happy and fulfilled. Then one day, my father-in-law approached me with an unexpected request. This marked the beginning of some tension in our seemingly happy living arrangement. It was a time when my overly anxious mother-in-law, who tended to be a bit controlling with my father-in-law, was out shopping. I was about to start cleaning on my day off when my father-in-law asked to talk to me. "What's up?" "Well, I don't want my wife to find out, but I'm taking a leave from work." "Wait, a leave?" He explained that he'd been having issues with his boss and colleagues, and his health had gotten so bad that he had no choice but to take time off. My mother-in-law is generally a kind person, but she's always on edge and a bit obsessive. Living with them, I started to notice her anxious habits and how my father-in-law walked on eggshells around her to avoid upsetting her. He had always been slim, but looking back, I realized he had lost even more weight recently. It would have been comforting if my mother-in-law showed genuine concern about his weight loss. Instead, when he took a sick day for a cold before, she commented, "A cold. Everyone else at your level is already at the top. It's because you're always taking time off for silly reasons like colds. That's why you're not getting promoted." Rather than being caring, she was the type to be critical. He probably tried to soldier on no matter how bad he felt. But his health kept declining, and he started taking more sick days to secretly visit the hospital. He was really struggling both mentally and physically. With his frequent early departures, lateness, and days off, there was talk of him possibly needing to take a break from work. But my father-in-law was hesitant to upset my mother-in-law in any way. If he even suggested taking time off, she'd likely explode with anger. Plus, my father-in-law didn't earn much, and he relied on overtime pay, so taking a break would mean a significant drop in income. If he told my husband, he'd probably end up telling my mother-in-law, so he came to me, asking if I could help with the bills. If I mentioned taking a break, she might even leave me. Those words hit me hard. I was grateful to my in-laws for accepting me warmly, regardless of my background growing up in an institution. Determined to be there for them, I decided to assist him during this tough period. I understand. I'll send money to your account every month. Use it for expenses. I'm really sorry. I'll try my best to get better soon and go back to work. Thank you for trusting me. After that, my father-in-law continued his routine of pretending to go to work while I sent money to his bank account for living expenses. My mother-in-law, who wasn't very meticulous with her finances, never noticed my transfers because she didn't check her bank statements closely or keep track of household expenses. Meanwhile, my father-in-law would pretend to head to work, but instead visit a mental health clinic or take walks in the peaceful mountains. Over time, his health seemed to improve. I hoped he'd be back to work soon, but then something unexpected happened. After a disagreement with her husband, my sister-in-law decided to go back to her parents' home. There's no place like home. I felt like I was going crazy living with that idiot husband of mine. I'll be staying here for a while. Can you make meals for me too? I knew right from the start that my sister-in-law wasn't fond of me. At our first family gathering, my husband was visibly upset because of her obvious disapproval. During our wedding, she wore a sour expression the whole time and even told me straight to my face, "My brother looks great, but you? He could have done better." She didn't hide her disdain for me, mentioning that it was embarrassing that I grew up without parents to attend the wedding. However, since she got married before us and had already moved out, I figured our interactions would be limited. That's why I thought living with them wouldn't be too bad. If she had still been living at home, I wouldn't have even considered moving in, knowing I'd have to deal with her constant criticism. Despite her stern attitude towards my father-in-law, I assumed her stay was temporary because of her marital issues and expected her to leave within a few days. My mother-in-law had always been kind to me, and even when my sister-in-law made snarky remarks, I trusted that my mother-in-law would stand up for me. But I was mistaken. One evening, when I came home from work, my mother-in-law's demeanor seemed off. "Is everything okay?" I asked. She seemed distant, not engaging in our usual conversation. When I inquired, she said, "Did you know you've been speaking ill of me behind my back?" "What? I've never said anything negative about you. You've always treated me well, and I'm genuinely grateful. Why am I saying anything bad? You've been acting like the perfect daughter-in-law, but you've been gossiping about me in secret." "Fine, whatever," I replied, and she left the room. As she walked away, my sister-in-law smirked. "Looks like you've fallen out of favor. Did your true colors come out? Your upbringing in an institution is really showing, huh? It's better not to gossip about people." "I haven't said anything bad about her." "Oh, it seems the neighbors heard you. When I returned after so long, they mentioned that you've been constantly criticizing her." "What? Who? Are these neighbors?" "Well, it's been a while since I got married and moved out, so I've kind of forgotten their names. I never said any of those things. Stop making things up." "Oh my, how rude of you, Mom. You're accusing me of lying and bullying," she said, storming into my mother-in-law's room. From that moment on, my sister-in-law's nasty behavior only got worse. She accused me of telling her to sleep in the hallway and take the last bath because she's just a guest. She nitpicked about every little thing and complained to my mother-in-law. Each time, I had to defend myself, explaining that I hadn't said or done any of those things. But my mother-in-law seemed completely swayed by my sister-in-law's words, falling under her influence. My sister-in-law carried on as if she had no intention of leaving anytime soon, leaving me worried sick as I headed home with a heavy heart. "I'm back," I announced, hoping for the usual warm greeting from my mother-in-law. Instead, there was silence. "I'll start dinner," I said, stepping into the living room, only to be greeted by a shocking sight. Normally, my sister-in-law would rush me to prepare dinner, but now my mother-in-law, father-in-law, and sister-in-law were all enjoying sushi together. Surprised, my sister-in-law remarked, "Looks like someone who's not part of the family is home. You're not planning on having sushi, are you?" Without a glance in my direction, my mother-in-law continued eating while watching TV. "If you wanted sushi, you should have said so." I hurried back after shopping. "Huh, no one mentioned that," I sighed. "Hey Mom, Dad, I hung out with my friends today and brought back some delicious pudding. Let's enjoy it together." My sister-in-law chimed in, ignoring me completely as they all began eating the pudding. Exhausted from work and lacking the energy to confront them, I retreated to my room without eating. The next day, my sister-in-law mentioned she was meeting friends and asked if I could drop her off at the station. I declined, as it was a work day, and we weren't heading the same way. "Come on, take a day off. It's not a big deal. Your dear sis-in-law just wants a lift. She hasn't had much fun since getting married, right? Can't you be a bit nicer?" Respectfully, "Didn't you go out with friends last night after a late call? It seems like you've been going out almost every day since you got back." "I have work. Please take the bus or train," I replied. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law were whispering in the background, but I had enough. I headed to work. That night, however, the moment that convinced me to leave happened. I was delayed at work and returned home after picking up groceries, expecting some sort of scolding. It had been raining heavily when I left the office, and I was soaked even getting in and out of the car. I wondered what unpleasant surprise awaited me at home, but when I arrived, the three of them were eating takeout just like the day before. No greeting, as if they hadn't even noticed I'd returned. But I've grown accustomed to this treatment. Glancing towards the courtyard from the hallway, I noticed something placed in the center of the garden. Upon closer inspection, it was my belongings. A designer bag I bought with my first paycheck, shoes that were a birthday gift from my husband, and even my work computer, now soaked. Shocked, I stood frozen as my sister-in-law smirked and remarked, "Having a stranger's things in the house was gross, so I got rid of them." Flaunting a designer bag like that? How arrogant. Neither of